He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain pink and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Welcome to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes. I thought I'd throw a little bit of old school, of course there's highlights here of the Oakland Raiders. And what's interesting about this is that I happen to have an Oakland Raider here on the show today. It's not quite of an oddity. However, the last player interviewed was Darren McFadden. And when I think about the types of players that are in the NFL this year, of course, I'm live on Twitter. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show at WBLZSports.com. Download the app now on both iTunes and Google. So always good stuff. And on Facebook Live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I think of Raiders, and I really think of last year. You always want to talk about last year, what happened last year, what didn't happen last year, who were the impact players last year. And we're going to go into that, and I'm going to tell you the special guest. I can't give it up quite yet because this guy is hungry to get back out on the field, and I don't blame him, considering the way the Raiders season ended at 12-4 in the AFC, one of the best records in the AFC, I might add, going neck and neck with the Kansas City Chiefs in that wild AFC West showdown. However, when you talk about off-season cuts, acquisitions, overall shifting around in the NFL, and it happens at every single team, whether it's a defensive back coach, wide receiving coach, even a head coach, there's one Bay Area team, and we'll talk about the other Bay Area team, but this is one Bay Area team where you've seen the shift. You've seen Kyle Shanahan leave from the confines of the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordination position to head coach over at the, San Francisco 49ers, joined by John Lynch, who had never been in a GM position. How he'll do, we're going to find out through the draft, preseason, and basically overall workings of the 49ers really trying to get themselves back in position to be competitive, which we hadn't seen them do in quite a few years. But the other Bay Area team, who had found themselves already in a playoff conversation, was cut short due to untimely injuries. In 2016, they marched towards a deep postseason run. Unfortunately, with the loss of likes of Derek Carr, Matt McGloin, second string, and the insertion of Connor Cook, third string quarterback for the Oakland Raiders. I have to have this gentleman on. And when I talk about him, I mean a guy who has committed himself not only to the excellence that the Raider organization has been providing for decades, but when I look at this particular gentleman, I think to myself, how can a guy who walks onto a field, fighting through minicamp, by invitation only, undrafted, that's an uphill battle. All you D2 guys know exactly what I'm talking about. JUCO guys and even some D1 guys show up on the field. There's no guarantee you're actually going to stay there, but what makes you stay is your work ethic on the field, being a student of the game, which I've spoken about here on the Rude Dog Show many, many times. You're more than welcome to call in and talk to my next guest, 216-539-9967. But this guy's outstanding. When I say outstanding, I don't mean just, he's outstanding. I mean he is outstanding. I say that with emphasis. Why? Because that's what he did. Not only at Texas Tech, and if that's not a giveaway, you're losing yourself. Period. End of story. Welcome. Number 98 for the Oakland Raiders, Branden Jackson.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Branden. Hey, man, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's no problem, but I love to talk to you, especially about football.
You know what? So do I. So I guess you're in the right place.
Yeah, me too.
Good to know. Look, you're 6'4", 268. You're 24 years old. And anybody who's from Pennsylvania knows exactly who I'm talking about. He's from McKeesport, PA, with the high school there. All you Steeler fans are cringy saying, why is he in an Oakland Raider uniform? We're going to talk about all that here in the show as we move forward. But he's out of Texas Tech, heading to his second year with the Oakland Raiders. And when I look at your film, and I go back to Texas Tech, we'll kind of go a little bit backwards here because it really started there. It really started there. And if anybody doesn't know him, you should. He's at BJACK9TTU from Texas Tech University. Branden Jackson. Look, nobody needs to get this twisted. Just for clarification's sake. You were offered a walk-on spot because of what you had shown, not only the Raiders, but coaching staff, Coach Del Rio, at a rookie minicamp, which is essentially just a tryout. When you look back at that experience and realize that you had put it out there for coaches to witness, including Coach Del Rio, do you feel as though you'd empty the tank and left it on the field, or do you believe there was something more you could have given to not only assure yourself a spot now, but for a very, very deep future with the Oakland Raiders?
To be honest with you, I feel like I left everything I had out there. You go back to the rookie minicamp and just being an invitee. I walked into the organization, they were deep at defensive line position, just drafted 2 guys at that position, 3rd and 2nd round. Had a couple high priority free agents brought in, and then not to mention Khalil Mack being on that defensive line and running up front. So it wasn't a very optimistic encounter when I was here. I'm coming in here. I'm a body guy. I don't see how I'm supposed to succeed with the talent level they already have, especially on the line. That's not what their greatest need is. So I walked in there and I said, at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do what I can do, and I'm a ball, and it's an opportunity. So I can't blame anyone but myself if I don't take full advantage of it. And I went in there and I did everything I could. I knew every play, and when I messed up, I was in the right position, just didn't execute technique properly. But after a few coaching adjustments and a couple lessons with Coach Franklin and Ken Norton, I kind of picked up things, and they had a little faith in me, signed me as a practice squad guy, and later in the year I was brought up to be active, and that's kind of how it went.
There was a reaction. Sometimes coaches can really put on a poker face, especially with the amount of talent you stated with Khalil Mack, which is an outstanding linebacker to say the very least, and a Pro Bowl worthy kind of player. But when you look at the type of reaction from them, was there a reaction? Was there anything that they had given you to give you the indication that they were going to sign you, or was it a poker face from end to end at your time at minicamp?
No, it was definitely a poker face from end to end. I remember in the first preseason game, my first play in there, I had a tackle for a loss. I was feeling real good. I played pretty well that game. The next game, I played pretty well, and then the following game, I barely played. So I was like, wow. I went from a lot of congratulations, pats on the back, had my first NFL, whether preseason or not, back, and I'm not even playing in the 3rd game. I played about 5 snaps. And then the last game, I played a lot of snaps, and I was just surprised to make it past the first cut with the amount of play time I had from the 3rd game. And then after the game, I just really didn't know what to expect. I felt like I gave everything I could, and if anything, I might have compromised someone else. But I knew there was nothing else I could do. And that's when they called me in, and I talked to up to management, to Reggie, and to my D-line coach, and they just told me, we're going to sign you. We want you to be a practice squad player, and we just plan for you to develop and be able to help us later on in the season. And that's kind of what happened.
I like coaches when they give you that poker face. And some of the greatest coaches in the NFL have given plenty of defensive guys, offensive guys, special teams the poker face, because they don't want to let them know what they're thinking. They'd rather keep it hidden, tucked away, far away, to where when you're looking at them for some type of praise, they're not going to give it to you because you're not on the team yet. But once you land on it, then they're going to give you all the criticism and all the positives and the negative to help you grow, to help you understand where you went wrong so you can correct it, make those things wrong, turn into right, to be the impact player that they acquired you. Now, they already had a lot of talent defensively on that team. When your thoughts of signing that document, signing the bottom line, when you already knew in advance, did you believe you even have a chance to play?
Oh man, I always thought that I was able to play at the next level, the NFL level. knew I was going to be climbing an uphill battle with my position after the scouting combine and everything. And then once going to Oakland and seeing the talent and looking at the roster, I was like, oh, this is going to be next to impossible task. But I believe I was meant to do extraordinary things. So I just put my head down, buckled my chin strap, and got to work.
That's really what it's about. At the end of the day, when you look at the types of production, I'll go back to your Texas Tech days for half a second because you did a lot of great things there. I mean, during your 4-year career, 51 games at 38 starts, 6'4", 272. Of course, weight fluctuates, so you can't really count on the number. But the number of games that you started, being the impact player that you were, the only other player that had been a member of the Texas Tech senior class drafted by Oakland was DeAndre Washington in 2015. And I think, man, this guy, 2012, it showed all your progression. You started at the linebacker position. You had 19 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pass deflected at the line. You continued your progression in the linebacker position for Texas Tech in your sophomore year with 29 solo tackles. So you clearly jumped up another notch, but that was in the linebacker position. Now, linebacker, defensive end, those two are very different positions. Somehow you're able to switch and transition over to a D lineman. Now, when I look at defensive ends, I think to myself, okay, you have to have speed, focus, great hand movement to get off of those guards and tackles, but to be able to get at the quarterback in a myriad of occasions, which you had done. Matter of fact, 2014 as a junior, you pumped it up a notch, but in a different way. You had 41 total tackles, 9 for loss, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble. Now, when I look at those numbers, I think to myself, is his natural position linebacker or defensive end? Was it an easy transition to move over? And if so, did you feel that it was more of a natural position for you to move over to the D line instead of the linebacker?
To be honest, I consider myself a football player. I never really got too much into the position. I feel like the coaches always know what's best, and I was always down to do what was best for the team. Early in the year, playing linebacker, I was playing more of an outside linebacker, so that's not too much of a difference of playing defensive end. The big difference came when I was the last couple of years you talked about was I actually had to play in interior defensive lineman, so not just playing a 5 technique, and where the 5 technique I was able to drop in coverage and rush on the edge. And then I was trusted later on to play a little 3 technique, a little zeros and 1, 4 eyes and things like that. So that's when the actual defensive lineman skills came. It didn't come natural. It took a lot of hard work, and I asked for help from a lot of guys who I was initially giving help to the years prior, because I was playing their position and what they do best. So I kind of just stole a couple of things from their game and was able to make it work for me and just be real productive, or as productive as I can be at that position, trying to help take the step more.
I guarantee you it was a real hardcore transition when you move over from not only a defensive end spot, but now here you are learning a brand new system. The NFL level, NFL speed for which most players were number 1 in college. Well, you're not in college anymore. This is the NFL, moving faster, but you move with a certain type of inertia, game speed, and as a defensive lineman, you have to be expeditious off the line no matter what, being an every down back. Now, in your second year, 2017, coming up, you're really looking at sinking your teeth into a more powerful, a more productive, even active spot on the Raiders' defensive line. Maybe secondary, hopefully not practice squad at all. I'd like to see you start. Clearly not up to me, not my decision. But when you look at a lot of the guys that you had worked under, and I mean second string, first string, between Mario Edwards and Danico Autry, what did you learn from them? What made you a student of the game? And what did you learn from them while their time on the field?
You know what? In college, I got away with a lot of things by playing hard and being a little bit more gifted at things, having a little bit more ability or agility, you should say, at certain things, and I was able to get away with that. At the next level, what I learned from Danico is that you really have to understand the scheme of the game and what the defense is trying to execute, what it's trying to take away, and what it's trying to allow. That's one thing I took from him. With Mario, I took away from his relentlessness and just constant full speed effort. You know, sometimes in college you catch yourself taking breaks because you know at this point in the game that they're not trying to attack you, so you take a break here. On the NFL level, with the running backs that they have there, how they can make a play bounce a certain way, even though it was directed the other way. Mario just taught me that everything is 100%. If it's not 100%, you shouldn't be in there. And then and then of course I had to take things from the great Khalil Mack and things that he does, and he does it so well, one of the best in the business. And he just taught me that really the most important thing about being a defensive lineman is knowing what the offensive line is trying to accomplish. So just understanding why you're getting this block and what plays to come from this block was a big thing that I stole from him. And I even went so far to steal things from Bruce Irvin, who plays the film and outside position, and I just had to. I would be a fool not to take advantage of his understanding of defensive coverages and what running gaps will be open because of the coverage that's being played behind you and things like that. So when I guess you can say I kind of robbed a lot of people this year, and I'm just hoping that that's going to make me an even better player next year.
You know, mixing and matching, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody in any given team organized sport takes a little bit from this person, and it takes a little bit of that person, whether it's better footwork, better hand placement, being able to put a power move together. And I think every single NFL player has their favorite power move to get off of guards and tackles, at least on the defensive side of the ball. When I look at power moves, I look at guys like Khalil Mack, who knows how to mix it up, mix and match. If you were to take anything away specifically from playing with Khalil Mack, what would that be, and how do you apply it to your game?
I would definitely take Khalil's one arm away. I would take his one arm move. His one arm power move is so disruptive, and I think it's so disruptive because a lot of opposing offensive tackles are so afraid and so scared and trying to anticipate his get off, lean, and bend around the edge. So when he's getting off, especially it automatically gets them to kick back. And when they're kicked back, when that one arm is placed correctly, which he does so often, it immediately gets the offensive lineman retreating. And then by that time, you can either go inside or outside, whichever way is the quickest pass to the quarterback. And we've seen him do it so many times, and usually it's inside, depending on how the tackle tries to respond to the one arm. And that's just something I really need to add to my game at the next level.
Well, again, that's what it's all about. I witnessed Khalil Mack at his absolute best. Again, as I said before, certainly a Pro Bowl candidate kind of guy, and I look for him to even have a better 2018 season. Now, in your rookie year, you learned a lot. You became more of a student of the game, probably a clipboard in hand, maybe a Surface if your coaches had given you one, to be able to not only understand but dissect and really retain the game film, to really get and dive into the nuts and bolts of what that Raiders defense was all about. And I had seen it in so many different occasions against the Chiefs, against the Chargers, huge AFC West showdown. Give me an experience while you were on the fields. I know you have one sack with 3 games played. What was that sack like when you first achieved it in the first game that you had played?
That was, I don't even know how to explain the excitement that I got from that. That was, I guess it was just hard work and perfect scheme coming together. I honestly, I didn't have to do too much. The play was designed that if you run it correctly, you should be able to get there. And that's exactly what happened. Coach Owen drew a play, and then I wanted to run. Coach Franklin taught me technique, and that Sunday I was so scared to mess up that there was nothing that could have ever strayed me from the path of what that play called. And I just kind of did it, went hard. My move worked, and the quarterback retreated. He tried to scramble up the middle, and I retraced, and he was right there. And it was a sack. If he would have fell a little bit forward, it might not have been a sack, but I got him to go backwards, which is what you want to do as a defender at all times.
Exactly right. Now, was there a celebration after that sack, or did you just look down and say, "Oh, wow, he's on the ground," and that's it?
You know what? I actually got up and started kind of embracing my teammates. It wasn't, you think, like in your head, you're like, man, I get a sack, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. There's so many unique dances you see around the NFL, but when I got up, I was so excited, I was kind of jumping, and I immediately ran toward a teammate that I'm close with, was on the play with me, and if I wouldn't have got the sack, he would have got the tackle for a gain of 1. So I kind of celebrated that with him.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. It's always good to know that a rookie such as yourself at such a historic time at Texas Tech, being a Texas Tech Raider, that kind of moved you kind of kept the Raider name. Texas Tech Raiders, now being an Oakland Raider. Was there a personal transition? Did you feel as though the type of mentality, your throughput that you had achieved while at Texas Tech, being a Texas Tech Raider, you're able to show the Oakland Raiders during your 3 games that you had played?
Yeah, you know what? That was probably the easiest transition, because anyone who's been to Lubbock, Texas, has been to a Texas Tech game, those fans are the best fans in college football. So coming to the Raiders and getting to be around that black hole and around those crazy fans, it just felt like home. It's like I've been a Raider all my life, and I've been a Raider 5 years before joining Oakland, and I was just excited to be able to continue the name. I don't have to worry about ever talking and slipping up and calling out the wrong name or tweeting or something and not mentioning the right name, because like I said, I've been a Raider for the last 5 years of my life.
That's good. That's fantastic. And here's why I'm laughing, is because I'm thinking 2 things here. One, you could probably change your middle name to Raider, so it still applies to both. I don't know what your parents would feel about that, but you can also basically have the feeling of what it's like to have the best fans at your disposal, albeit the Texas Tech Raider fans or the Oakland Raider fans. So you can't really go wrong either way. So I think that's beneficial when you look at it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong at all. It's always Raider Nation. Something is being embroidered in me now.
Well, there you go. That's a part of who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to Branden Jackson, defensive end, Oakland Raiders. I need to take a quick break. I will be right back. Got to pay some bills. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show at WBLZSports.com. I'll be right back. I wish it was faster. There we go.
This is the sheet. Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so wrong. Scott hates it.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns. 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten. You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. Have you ever had a bad week? Just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like driving, you walk outside, and have a puddle right sometimes. Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water on you, or it's just raining on you, not anyone else.
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. You're listening to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Doug Pepper painting and pressure washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial or residential. Doug Pepper covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? Well, call on Doug. Doug Pepper painting and pressure washing.
404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Pepper Pay and Pressure Washer. 404-966-3361.
Hello, everybody. This is Blake Cole, host of Back to Law Baseball here on WBLZ Sports. If you love America's pastime, then join me every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern for the latest and greatest in the world of Major League Baseball.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call no matter the size of the job at 740-438-7173. And mention WBLZ Sports, you will get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
WBLZ Sports, we've got fathers and sponsors involved.
Hey, welcome back to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes at WBLZSports.com. You can find me on Twitter at RudeDogReyes, and you can also check out this episode, which will be uploaded to TheRudeDogShow.com sooner rather than later. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Download the app. Is on iTunes. It is on Google as well. If you like to Google things, it's there. If you like using iTunes, it's also there. And I'm Facebook Live, by the way. So hello, everyone. Come check me out. I'm on the Rude Dog Show at WBLZSports.com. Throw them a like on the page. Always great material, always great stuff. Only on WBLZSports.com. We go, welcome back. I still have the one, the only, the man, the myth, possibly even a legend. Maybe. We'll see what happens, but I like to think so. Welcome, Branden Jackson to the show. Branden, hey, man, thanks for coming back.
Oh, no problem at all.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I didn't think you left, but I always have to cue that in because you never know. I never. Hey, look.
I'm here. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm fine. It's a beautiful Valentine's Day. Love is in the air. We're talking about football. It's my first love.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Since you went there, do you like chocolate?
I love chocolate. That's my problem.
Look, someone would disagree with you and say, you know what? It's not a problem. I like chocolate too. And you know what? I actually have chocolate right here. What do you know? Oh, I can't give it away, but this is chocolate, ladies and gentlemen, in this little tin in my hand. And of course, I don't have 12 pieces of candy left. I think I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 8. Because I want to eat one now, but that would kind of interfere with what I'm doing here. I can't talk and eat chocolate. As much as I want to grab one, I just can't do it. So then, Branden, I have to ask you, what did you get your sweetie for Valentine's Day? Did you give her a football with your autograph on it? Or did you get a tin and put your autograph on it? What did you do for your honey for Valentine's Day?
I got a few gifts, a few things she's been wanting, some sneakers, some heels, things like that, some workout gear. But I did give her my first autograph jersey. She did get that. I don't know if she really wanted it, but it's framed and put it up in her house. It was my first piece of memorabilia.
Wow. Forget the flowers. Somebody give her a signed jersey. The autographed jersey in a frame. That's also timeless. Then again, if you had some spray glue, you can spray your flowers and keep them forever. I'm just throwing that out there because you never know. Some people are crazy about flowers, but crazy about a signed jersey. Who wouldn't want a signed jersey? Branden, I have a question for you. If I had a caller call in right now to the show, would you send them an autographed jersey?
I probably wouldn't send them an autographed jersey. They get an autographed piece of something else. I feel like my mom and father are fighting over the next one.
Oh, well, hey, look, you don't want to call in. Ask Branden a question. 216-539-9967. Okay, so not a jersey, but maybe an autographed photo or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Gloves, shirts, something like that, fine. But jersey,
there you go.
Pretty hard for you to come by.
Well, you have your own jerseys, don't you? Did they give you like 5 or 6? How many did they give you when you signed on?
Yeah, you get pretty much as many as you want, you know. But it's just something special. You don't want to go out there every day and take every single jersey.
Yeah, no, that's you know what? Good point. I do have jerseys. I have one that's autographed. Of course, I am a Steelers fan. Yes, I know, but I do have my autographed memorabilia of my own. So it's not a signed jersey. So oh well. I guess we can't always win, right? If you're Brandon Jackson, you can have as many signed jerseys as you want because you're going to end up wearing them anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Let's go into contract stuff. And it was kind of a known fact that against the cap last year, I know you don't get into cap numbers and all that stuff, but obviously all this information is relatively public. But you had signed a base guarantee of $450,000, which is a lot of money to us simpletons out here. Cap number, it took a small hit on the overall cap for the Raiders at just over $132,000. Again, chump change for the Raiders, but for us, it's 5 lifetimes of salary. 2017, you're actually going to make more, $540,000 or something to that effect, which hits a cap at a very high level of $540,000. Now, albeit putting numbers aside, do you believe based on, of course, this is a business. Let me just preface what I'm about to say by saying this. This is a business, and you get paid to perform. The rule of thumb is if you don't perform, you don't get paid, or at least you shouldn't. There are contracts out there, unlike undrafteds, like yours, for example, who get paid more money to sit on the bench and actually play on the field, and I know of at least a handful of them, but I'm not going to go there. When you're talking about more money this year, do you believe that there'll be more pressure on you to perform at an even higher level? I don't care if you're third string, second string, first string. Why? Because all bets are off when you head into training camp for any NFL team. And being your second year, do you feel that this is something you're going to have to really put your best foot forward, literally and figuratively, in order to get a starting spot and get paid for what you're putting on the field?
Yeah, well, I honestly, I don't even think too much about contracts. I would play the game of football if I wasn't in the NFL. I'd find some league around there and still play. So I just want to play, but I'm a competitor and I understand the business, and it's a very high wealthy business. So like anyone else, I want to get paid, but that's not something I concern myself with. I'm honestly just concerned about being the best football player I can be, and one day maybe get one of those gold jackets everyone sought after. But yeah, in terms of contract and things like that, I'm already fighting for being an undrafted free agent. So there's nothing that can kind of put more pressure on myself than me. I think I was as stressed as I've ever been coming out of the combine and coming out of that draft process and not hearing my name. And besides that, everything else is a blessing to me. So the fact that I know I'll be into a camp next year, I think I can handle anything else they throw at me. And I think that anything that I do put out there will be good enough. I feel like I've learned so much over the past year. And I have so many more moves and things that I can't wait to display, and I'm working real hard right now. That when I get back there and open up there in Alameda and we get the ball rolling again, then my coaches will see the difference that I've already taken from year 1 to year 2.
You know what? I believe that when I look at, again, going back to the amount of talent that's a part of that defensive line. Now, look, it's all competitive. I know you have friends. I know they play with you on the team, and that's great, and it's good to have them. However, when the competitive nature kicks in, does it kick in for you early on? Because, like I said, you're ready to get back out on the field. Do you believe that you'll have to knock some people off in order to acquire that second, maybe that first string position on the defensive line?
Absolutely. If you're going to go in there and you plan to start, you're going to have to step on someone's toes and knock someone off. And I mean, that doesn't bother me, and for the most part, everyone on the team isn't bothered by it at all. They understand that this is a competition. At the end of the day, it's a job. You have a lot of friends, as you said. However, everyone's kind of fighting for the same thing. Everybody wants to be the focal point of the defense or one of the main contributors. So that starting spot with the talent that we have on the Raiders is one that's sought out there by everyone on the defensive line, and also one that's not easily achieved. So in order for me to get that, I'm going to have to take someone's spot who has put in more work than me and has been more productive than me in the past. And for me to do that, it's a large task, but it's a task that I'm willing to embrace it. I wouldn't care if someone could get mad, because if I was in the third spot and they were trying to start, they would understand the same thing.
They definitely would. There's a lot of players that I've interviewed, and one pops out to me, and I'd like to bring his name up. Tyrone Carter, former DB for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's quite a few years removed. But when I had interviewed him the first time, he gave me some words of wisdom. Of course, it doesn't really apply to me in the sense of playing football, professional sports, but what it does do for me, and hopefully everybody else is listening out there, this is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show at WBLZSports.com. Download the app live, Google and iTunes, on Facebook Live as well, so tune in. But when I look at guys like Tyrone Carter, he told me, he says, it's not getting there. It's not the road to be a starter. It's keeping your starting role. And that basically, he says to me that if you don't play your hardest, if you don't work your hardest, like a guy, I don't know, James Harrison, maybe you've heard of him, one of the most productive defensive ends / linebackers in the NFL at age 38. Yes, I said 38 years of age. He has to fight hard to keep his spot. What have you been doing? And more since, obviously, the Raiders, and unfortunately for them, untimely, before entering a deep postseason run, what have you been doing to keep yourself conditioned and ready to go? And do you believe that what you have learned from an athletic standpoint, personal standpoint, since you grow every single year as an NFL player, that makes you believe and gives you the idea that you're going to battle out for first string on the defensive line in 2017?
Be honest, it's a sacrifice. I like I said, I learned a lot from this year, but it doesn't mean anything if I can't retain and remember what it is I learned. So my biggest thing going after the postseason was I need to sacrifice everything that isn't getting me closer to my goals, and that happened to be the first thing was vacation. I don't feel like I'm comfortable enough to take a vacation. Vacation enough to go home and visit my family, and that's good enough for me. But the whole traveling and things that some people have to do, I don't mind missing that. And then going to the Super Bowl, I didn't want to go to the Super Bowl if we weren't playing the Super Bowl. Even though I wasn't as big as a worry or as big of a piece in the defense, it still hurt me to be exited from the postseason. And I didn't feel like going to the Super Bowl would be any fun for me, being in the city of Houston and enjoying the beautiful festivities that I've seen all over the social media. That wouldn't have been fun for me, because I would have been a little salty about not being able to play on the biggest stage. So, like I said, I've been working endlessly since, working smart, but working endlessly definitely, and just grinding and really getting myself around other players who can push me, and other players who I know are trying to achieve the same goals as me.
When I look at the Raiders postseason, and I recall that play, you could probably walk yourself through it. You probably played it over in your own mind about 1,000 times. But when I remember watching Derek Carr go down, I thought to myself, okay, now here they are with 50% of a chance to win the AFC West outright. But it wasn't so. He went down, broken right fibula. Only other player to go down at a very similar time frame was Marcus Mariota of the Tennessee Titans with a right broken fibula. Now that's interesting. They're quarterbacks. They're in the pocket. That's what happens. You're not a runner. You're in the pocket. You got to get rid of the ball, and you're willing to take the hit to make the completion. Real simple. However, you were on the sideline. When that happened to Derek, and you seen him go down in writhing, unexplainable pain, what was the first thought running through your mind?
be honest with you, the first thing I thought was he'll be all right. Get him out there, give him some water, rub him down a little bit, and throw him back in the game. It's hard to explain because from the outside looking in, a lot of guys see Derek on the ground. They see Derek screaming, reaching, see him in obvious pain, you know. So they think, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, something's up. But when you know the guy personally, you're around the guy in and out day by day, you know his work ethic, you know how hard he works, and you know his faith, the faith that he has in himself, and then just God working in a mysterious way. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to come back and finish that game. I was pretty convinced that whatever was going to happen, he was going to overcome. And if he was to leave the game, he would be back the following game. It was kind of devastating to hear at the end of the game that he would be out for the rest of the remainder of the season. I guess that's our field journal, that's our leader. So that hurt. But the next day, he was right there up and Philly with a big smile on his face, asking everybody why they're hanging their head. He still got a Super Bowl to win. He still got to play, and that speaks numbers onto his character. Like I said, his faith that is undoubtedly the highest and greatest factor about Derek.
I look at Derek Carr and I think to myself, and then this is early in the season, and everybody had doubts. There was a lot of answers swirling around, a lot more questions than answers, about how his completion ratio be much better than his brother, David. And I think to myself, Derek, much better player, more accurate. And as time progresses, as the season progressed, he was very accurate, hitting Amari Cooper deep. There was a lot of other great wide receivers as a part of that Raiders core. Of course, ex-49er as well, who got involved in that process. Now Oakland Raiders still obviously going to stay there. But I think to myself, man, if only he had not been injured, the questions would swirl to say, well, he's already past this part. Is he a Super Bowl contender? Do you believe that had he not went down, based on what you've seen, that it would be a very hard knock? Of course, we can shoulda, woulda, coulda all day long, but when you look at Matt Ryan winning the NFL MVP and what Carr had done for the Oakland Raiders, do you think there would be more of a conversation surrounding Carr versus just Matt Ryan?
Don't want to take anything away from Matt Ryan. He's deserved for everything he received this year. But Derek Carr, he's second to none. I feel like he's a lot of people. He earned a lot of people's respect this year. And had he not gone down, he definitely would have been in the mention of MVP race. And as far as like our future, our how the season may or may not have ended, I don't know. You know, Coach Del Rio goes in every day because you get what you earn this week, no matter who's playing behind quarterback. So we didn't earn to play longer after we played Houston in Houston. So I can't really speak of what would have happened if we had Derek, because we didn't have it. But we had everything we needed to win that game still. So
absolutely right.
But as far as the MVP race, he would have been mentioned.
Yeah, no doubt about that one. He had done so much for the Oakland Raider team. He was on point. He was up in the pocket. He made the completion when he needed to, made the big throws when he needed to, but something was missing against Houston on the defensive side of the ball. And by no means does that actually indicate that the Oakland Raiders were bad. That just means that they were caught off guard. It means the play calling for the Houston Texans, despite having Brock Osweiler under center, didn't speak volumes for how they were to pick apart that Raider defense that had been otherwise extremely good all season long. And I still believe that contract for Osweiler is very overrated and it's overstated. And I'm done. It's time to move on. It's time to move on because they still need to find a home for Tony Romo from the Cowboys, and I don't know that that's a good landing spot, but that's neither here nor there. When I look at this Oakland Raiders team and I look at the depth, and I know that Carr will be back next year and he'll be ready to rock and roll, he won't be doing it alone because Coach Del Rio was signed on for an additional 3 years with the Oakland Raiders. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but under the great Al Davis, as good as he was, cannot retain head coaches. A lot of questions surrounding why that is. But when you look at Del Rio, when you look at what he had done leading a team 12-4. 12-4. It's almost hard to fathom you could even put the Oakland Raiders name with 12-4. But he did it. What do you believe will be the outcome in the following season? Let's just say 2017, 2018. Do you believe that Coach Del Rio should have been considered for Coach of the Year in 2017?
I think that Coach Del Rio should be considered everything associated with being a great coach. I mean, that's what he is. He embodies what it is to be a head coach, handles himself with class, handles the organization with class, and treats players with respect. He does everything by the book, and at the same time, lets us retain our personality and also be who we are and be what has got us to the place in life that we are. Coach Del Rio is just, he embodies what it is to be a Raider. He's from the California. He's from up in that area. Watched the Raiders going up, so it was home. Him coming back to Oakland, you know. And next year we expect nothing but the best. And you know, like we said, silver and black are back, and our return to greatness is what we're striving for each and every day. We've learned how to win. We've learned how to finish, and now we have to learn how to take it to the next level and become champions. So that's our main focus next year. Just like I said, continuous return to greatness and getting back to that championship status that the Raiders have been.
Yeah, no, look, when I watched the Raiders team, I thought to myself, these guys are playoff bound. They really were. And what was most upsetting is seeing all these injuries. And then Connor Cook arrived, third-string quarterback, being thrown into an extremely unfamiliar situation in the NFL. I'm not talking college, because you can't compare college to the NFL. I don't care who you are. The only tie-in between the NCAA and the NFL is that would be the next level, albeit the NFL. Speed's different. 350-pound linebackers are different. The game speed is different. The mechanics are different. They're more finer tuned. There's more resilience in accordance with what you're doing on the field and what the ultimate goal is, and that is to hoist the Lombardi. I believe the Raiders will be back, fighting for position in the AFC West. Not only against the Kansas City Chiefs, but against the Broncos and now the Los Angeles Chargers. Excuse me. And when I look at this Raiders team, they're so well-rounded. Wide receiving core, defensive backs, corners, safeties. Where do you find yourself next year mentally if you were to become the starter?
If I would become the starter, I mean, being the starter first would be shocked the day that I see my name in the starting rotation. But once I got on that field, it'd just be another day in the park, because if you've ever been around a Raiders practice, the first, second, and third string have all been treated the same. Coach Lahren shoots everything and expects everyone to compete as if they are the starter. And you never know who's going to start and who's going to play more. It's all based on production and based on how the games keep and things like that. So I don't think that there would be any nerves or any hesitation when it comes to not knowing what to do. I just think that at first it would be a shock, because, like I said, I'm competing against great players, and although I expect to be a starter, it's always good and surprising when you're named a starter, and it's something that shocks anyone.
I don't think it's as shocking, though, because I believe that your experience in the college level will be seen in your second season with the Oakland Raiders. I can almost tell you're going to fight for a starting role like everybody else does. There's no gimmies in training camp. There's no gimmies in anything. If you don't work hard for it, you will not get it. End of story. There's a book I read just the other day, and I had actually finished it up. It's called Forged in Steel. And one of the pieces in there from the great Tunch Ilkin, former Steelers offensive lineman, he said that eventually you're doing things for free now, but people will want to pay you if you're passionate about what you do. That's true. You did it in college, year in, year out, year in, year out. And now here you are in a position because you put yourself in that position, not because it was given to you to get a starting role. I think you'll become a starter. I honestly do. I honestly do.
I appreciate that support. I really do.
Hey, I got you, man.
I do.
I got you.
And, I'm going to attack you that way every day. You try to be as honest as you can in this game. You try to push your rub anybody the wrong way, but anyone who knows me knows that I'm coming next year, and I have great expectations for myself, and I plan to achieve them.
It's goal orientation, and I think you have it. Not only do you have the respect of your peers, you have the respect of people that are helping you come up in the process. I think you're going to be a star in the NFL.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You guys still have 8 minutes to call in. Ask Branden a question. 216-539-9967. I'm live here on WBLZSports.com, live on Facebook. Hello. I'm here. Thank you for your listenership. Check it out. Call in. Lines are open. Got about 9 minutes here left with Branden. Defensive end. Now, when I look at this contract that Coach Del Rio signed, I thought to myself, man, Mark Davis got it right. He got it right. He was able to retain a coach with a 3-year extension who has done so much for this Raiders team.
Yes.
When I look at the personality, when I look at the attitude, when I look at what he brings, and by all means, there are coaching changes throughout the NFL, as I said in the onset of this broadcast. But something about Jack Del Rio, who didn't last in Jacksonville, I don't believe he was a right fit for Jacksonville, certainly the right fit for the Oakland Raiders, and Mark Davis certainly seemed to think so. When I look at the continuity, when I look at the play calling, when I look at the type of camaraderie. Now, make no mistake, there were tons of penalties. One of the most penalized teams in the NFL were the Oakland Raiders. That's a fact. Anybody can look that up. However, when you look at the types of penalties that were associated with the team that you were playing on, that you looked against, and you thought to yourself, why commit all those penalties? What were your thoughts about the rumor? And of course, at that time it was a rumor, but then you looked at the numbers and you thought to yourself, how can we be the most penalized team in the NFL? I'm not talking just defense. I'm talking offense. False starts, holds, chop blocks, things of that nature. What are your thoughts about that? Do you believe you could be a much more disciplined team with probably the least amount of penalties heading into next year?
Yeah, I don't think discipline has to do with anything when it comes to the penalties for us, because we're a very disciplined group. The thing about the penalties is we play hard, and penalties are going to happen, and we don't concern ourselves so much with the penalty. It's the type of penalties. We don't ever want to be looked at playing dirty, but we're going to play hard. So if we're playing hard, we're competing, and we get a first call, you know what? We'll live with it. We'll go on to the next step. We'll stop you on the goal line. That's not that's just their mentality. What we're not going to do is play timid and back down and be scared to do something because we feel like that's going to get a penalty. That's what we want to. And we're not going to play dirty. Like I said, we're going to play hard. We're going to play physical. We're going to play clean. If it happens to be a flag on a play, then so be it. We'll go on to the next play, and like I said, we'll stop you on the goal line. However, it's not. We don't want to penalize as much as it is. That's because it can take away from how a drive starts or ends. And we'll work on it, but it has nothing to do with discipline. We didn't get some calls, and that just happened.
Yeah, there were some iffy calls. I agree, but again, it goes back to refereeing in the NFL. Which, look, this is just a sore subject for me. When you look at the type of referee and the lack of calls, you're going to get every single call. There's no reason for anybody to think that you are. But when you look at the type of inconsistency by the NFL refereeing community, I can guarantee you there'll be more topic of conversation surrounding refereeing, and if there isn't, that's a crime. Because the players and the teams are the ones who are paying for it. And I can bet you that they're going to have this conversation. It probably should happen a lot sooner than later. because baseball season is right around the corner, and they need to get these spring conferences on the roll. That's my thought process on it, but that's, again, you're not going to get every call.
Can't get them all. It's hard. It's hard to run. That's the season game. It's hard for me to know if a flag should have been called or not. I think the NFL does a great job with the replays, but at the same time, you can't replay every call. It'll slow down the game. So, I mean, it is what it is. You have to play as quick as you can and play as to execute. I think that was one of our biggest things with being able to have so many penalties and still be 12-4, because we didn't concern ourselves with what happens. We're worried about right now. If a flag happens, it happens. It's on to the next. Like I said, you miss calls, you make calls. Sometimes you get calls you shouldn't have got. It's just a game.
That is all it's about. It's a game. It's a game that everybody enjoys. It's a product that the NFL wants to put out, and put out very well. I've seen reports about how ratings for the NFL are dropping in certain demographics, and of course those will be addressed, I'm sure, by the NFL and the ways that they market, and I'll leave that to the NFL because I don't get paid for those decisions. But certainly something needs to be done in regards to those ratings, because that affects the bottom line. It affects the bottom dollar. And it affects teams. If you want to think about the long-term trickle-down effect, it does. And unless they represent their product in such a way that makes it consistent, then so be it. But it has to happen. I mean, it just has to happen. Branden, I thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you coming on to the show. I'd like to follow up with you before you get into training camp just to see how you're getting acclimated, if that sounds good to you.
That sounds great to me. If you have my contact information, I'll follow you back on Twitter. So I'm sure I'll be tuning in and looking to see what you have to say when sports topics are brought up, and I can look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. I certainly appreciate it. And like I said before, I believe that the Raiders will find themselves in a very steep playoff conversation, and maybe even get in a very deep postseason conversation as well, because they have a lot of the right tools. And it's just a matter of putting them all into position and to prevent key injuries from actually occurring. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully they can get back to greatness, and always for the Raiders committing to excellence.
Absolutely.
Branden, hey man, thanks. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. Thanks. Wow, Branden Jackson. Love talking to that guy. He's so nice. He's so welcoming, and he's very open. And this is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you tuning in. This episode will be posted on TheRudeDogShow.com. Follow me on SoundCloud. Click me a like on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. This is Rudy Reyes on The Rude Dog Show at WBLZSports.com. I will see you tomorrow.